Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-Padam Shankaram Loga-Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhatarayanam Sutrabhashya-Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah-Punah Sada Shiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः उकारो अन्धकारो वैरुकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यंकरवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 ओम नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्म विद्या आचार्याय नचिकेतसे नमः. So we are in the 11th shloka. I will read the 10th and 11th, then I will give a simplified meaning as a memory to recollect the things what we have studied already. Then we will go to the new slogan. 10th and 11th. Indriyebhyah parahyartah artebhyascha param manah manasastu para buddhihi buddhiratma mahan paraha. Beyond the senses, or the five elements are more subtle than the senses. When these subtle elements, 5 elements, we all know about that: space, air, fire, water, and earth. They are subtle, more subtle than our senses. Once they become gross and they become the objects in the world, gross elements. Compared to these gross elements, when these 5 elements, after the Panchikarana Prakriya, coming together, becoming different objects in the creation, and these objects, compared to these objects, our mind is more subtle. So, senses, comparing with the senses or beyond the senses, the 5 elements are coming to creation. Then the mind is more subtle than these 5 elements. Again, manasastu para buddhihi. But the intellect is more subtle than the mind. I already told you, superiority is graded in according with the subtle nature of the things. So again, the intellect will be more subtle, and beyond the intellect, we call Hiranyagarbha, the sum of all individual living beings. Total individual soul. In English, I am translating for the sake of understanding, which we don't express in this way in our traditional teachings. Still, I will express in order to understand. Sum total of all individual souls is equal to Hiranyagarbha. It's a technical word. The first individual which came into creation, holding all other individual souls within. Then this will be more subtle than our intellect. In practical, some theories in our contemporary spiritual world, we call it transcendental meditation. Not completely they are teaching this method. Somehow they want to know from the senses what is there behind the senses and what is there behind that. Thus, gaining the superiority after knowing what is known in front of them towards the unknown, from the known towards the unknown, again towards the unknown, again towards the unknown. Thus, superiority is marked completely. Here, behind the intellect, if one can contemplate, if one can meditate, according to the guidance of the traditional teacher, one will come to know the first individual soul, what we call Hiranyagarbha. And after that, the 11th shloka, remember, these are all teachings given to this young boy by the death, Lord Death. And our Kaṭha Upaniṣad is centered on one subject matter. What is behind the death and birth of an individual soul? Really, if there anything immortal, eternal, the source of happiness exist or not is being clarified to this young boy by the Lord Death. May you not forget, or may you not go away from our real subject matter. From the known to the unknown, Lord Death is giving a traditional teaching method that our senses are more gross. Behind the senses, the elements are there. Behind the elements, the mind is more subtler. Beyond the mind, the intellect is more subtler. And beyond this intellect, the word Hiranyagarbha, the sum total of all individual soul, it is evident for a meditator. It is so clear for a meditator who can understand, who can react towards the teaching. And 11th shloka, Mahata Paramavyaktam Avyaktad Purusha Paraha. Of course, the Hiranyagarbha, the first individual soul in the creation, beyond that, there is an unmanifested form of all these individual souls that is called Avyaktam, unmanifested. When a tree is programmed in a seed, even though the tree exists in a seed, it is not available for our perception. Seed is available for our perception, but the tree is not available for our perception. That tree is avyaktam, unmanifested. In the semen of a human being, everything is pre-programmed, but we can't see a baby inside a semen with our eyes, which are gross eyes. But there is that unmanifested form on each and every egg. That unmanifested form of which exists in each and every seed. That unmanifested form which can accommodate the entire creation. That unmanifested form which can accommodate our psychological plane and thoughts. That unmanifested which can accommodate all our physical dealings and physical actions. That unmanifested which can accommodate each and every happenings in our creation. That unmanifested form is called avyaktam. In other words, maya. In other words, avyakritam. There are so many words for this one single being, because this is the potential strength of the eternal. The hearing aid is our ear. A hearing aid is our ear. But in order to listen, there should be a strength. It can listen. There is a power inside that. That power is unmanifested always. It is not visible. The taste which is already existing in our tongue is unmanifested. It is not visible. The vision of the eye is unmanifested. When you go to a doctor, you have to say, I can see these letters, I can't see these letters. It means that it is not visible for this ophthalmologist. You need to say that my eyes can see these letters, I cannot see these letters. From these words, he will arrive at a correct conclusion about your vision. Everything is equipped but unmanifested condition. How do you know that a person can talk in Spanish, Portuguese? He has to speak at visible. When you see a person, you cannot see what kind of abilities are hidden in him or her. It's an unmanifested condition. Even our mind, in order to draw, in order to think, everything is in unmanifested condition. This unmanifested condition is called Maya. We call it Maya, Avyaktam, Avyakritam. It's very important. That is why after renunciation of a sadhu, becoming a monk or a sage, according to Indian tradition, there are two ways of lifestyle. One is involving in all kind of worldly activities and guiding the whole world towards the righteous way. And other hand, not to involve in any kind of worldly activities except your daily needs. Two types of lifestyles are being given for a sage. You can involve in all kinds of worldly activities and guide the society, guide the people towards the right path, being a model in front of them. At the same time, resolving all your potential or your abilities within yourself, and you stay quiet without doing anything. You have the potential, you have the capacity to teach somebody, but you decided to stay quiet. It doesn't mean that only the traditional teachers who teach us have the value. No, there are people who don't have who don't have the desire to teach. Just they want to revel in the vision and they stay quiet. They also have the same status of the monk sages who involved in the worldly activities. Those who are very silent, those who don't involve in any kind of activities, they will also have the same status of this person who involved in all worldly activities. So, resolving all the potential within oneself after knowing that I am a non-performing locus and I don't want to involve in any kind of activities. I am a non-performer. I don't want to involve in any kind of activities. So these two lifestyles are there. So unmanifested condition is very, very, very powerful way of life. You need not to prove yourself in front of the people that you have the capacity. You just live a life, even though you know how to do certain things in your life. You simply close your eyes and stay back. When the person is not having, or when the person is helpless to do certain things, then only you have to help them. You have the complete potential, still you keep back. So unmanifested condition. Now come to the point. So behind the manifested individuals, there is a potential, there is an entity. It is called unmanifested condition, unmanifested entity. We call it avyaktam, avyakritam, maya, etc., etc. And whenever there is a potential, there should be a source of potential. If there is a vision, vision comes from the eyes. There is a source for potential. That is being told, avyaktad purushaha paraha. We already saw that behind all the things what we have seen, very, very, very subtle, there is something more subtle than each and everything what we have studied. That is called purushaha paraha, the ultimate good. Purushatna param kinchit. After that, nothing exists. Sa kashtha, sa paragati. Here the goal is being told by the Lord Death towards Nachiketas. Sa kashtha. That is the place of resort. That's a place of resort. One needs to reach there, and that will be the end of the life of a jiva while living. After knowing this knowledge that I am not this human body, but I am something other than human body. And what is that? From the known to the unknown, step by step, you slowly draw the attention of the listener from the indriya towards the five elements, from the five elements towards the mind, from the mind towards the intellect, from the intellect towards the manifested individual soul, from the manifested individual soul towards the unmanifested condition, which is the entity, which is the potential of this eternal Parabrahma, what we call Atman, Brahman, etc., etc. and I am that. Each and every individual is nothing but this one single entity called consciousness, Brahman. Once you know that there is no death and birth, there is no pain, there is no suffering. Suffering is in the realm of duality. When you have a human body, when you ourselves take, I am this human body. But once we realize that I am not this human body, I am something other than the human body, there is a superimposition on a real fact. That real fact is missing due to the superimposition. Once I come to know that after studying all these things in a systematical way, then that will be the end of my travel from one body to another body. That is the cessation of all activities. I will not be suffering at all after knowing this reality. Sa kashta sa paragati. That is the highest goal. The cause of all causes. The cause of all effects. One can say like that. And once you realize that this consciousness is the center of all creation, the creation is just a superimposition on this consciousness, Purushaha. Thus, one, that is the end, that is the culmination of one's samsara gatihi, going from one life to another birth and again, pain, suffering, lot of issues. It is the culmination. It's the end. Sa kashta, sa para gatihi. Gatihi means the goal here. It should be like that. We already explained this shloka before going to the next shloka. So this state of understanding that I am the consciousness who is a non-performer of action, and a person taken to a life of renunciation of all kinds of activities, not without changing the dress, without changing the house, without changing his, without giving up the wife and kids, he himself recognize himself that I am this consciousness. I am not the body. That understanding will make the person to be freed from all kinds of bondages which are never existed at any point of time. Bondage is caused by the erroneous notion. I think myself that I am this body. Then there are a lot of bondages. From there, I deny now I am not this body. At once, all the bondages will also fall apart. So, bondage is caused by notion. This erroneous notion is being taken away by the real knowledge. Once we get the real knowledge, all falsified, mistaken errors, ideas are being nullified, completely eliminated by the right knowledge. Ignorance was the cause of my suffering. Now the ignorance is gone. I understood my real fact. I understood my real nature. After gaining the understanding of the real nature, there is no room for any kind of mistakes. When there is no room for any kind of mistakes, there is no bondages. Myself, I took something other than what I am. Now I understood myself who I am. After gaining the knowledge of who am I, there is no mistaken identity existing while living. You need not to change yourself, the body. You need not to suicide in order to gain the freedom. You just understand, because bondage and freedom are in our own thinking, in our own notion. Once we understand that bondage is due to this erroneous notion that I took myself as a human body, but once I understood that I am not human body, I am this consciousness. Human body is just a superimposition on this consciousness. But I can't see the consciousness. There is no need of see the consciousness, because whatever you see in your life is subject to destruction. Something which is not subject to destruction will not have name and form. When there is name and form, it is subject to destruction. Anything in this world. Then you may argue that, how can I believe that something which doesn't have name and form is there existing? I already told you, without something right in front of you, there will be no superimposition. In order to have a superimposition, there should be something right in front of you. So when I superimpose this human body, there should be something as the base for the superimposition of the human body. So something is there. And also, a fact which is a lie cannot survive more than 2-3 years. It is survived for past 10,000, 20,000 years. Means it's a fact. It's not a lie. Consciousness is there, and it's a fact, and it is being enjoyed by the foreseers, and we are going to see that. Who are the people who have seen this in the next shloka? So I take away all my wrong ideas, and I understood that I am this consciousness by the method given by the Lord Death towards Nachiketas. Now we will go to the next slogan. So this is called freedom. Freedom is not that you will become an angel, or you will become some other mysterious entity or superficial entity. No, you are a simple person who realizes that I am not this human body, but I am the consciousness, the mass consciousness, which is the source of entire creation, which is the source of all kinds of superimposition, which will be the source of all happiness. That consciousness is the source, is the center of entire creation. That consciousness might be me. This understanding made the person free from all kinds of bondages. He just play a role of husband. He just play a role of wife. She just play a role of wife. She just play a role of daughter. Anything. After knowing whatever role it comes towards the body, we just play that. We are not sticking with the roles. We stick with our intrinsic nature. That's called freedom, emancipation. Now, 12th shloka given by the Lord Death toward Nachiketas. This is the real center part of this Upanishad, you know. These verses are the central part of the teaching. Lord Death gives the proper vision what is there beyond death and birth. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudho gudhaha atmana prakashate drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhihi. Once more I will read. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudho atmana prakashate drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhihi. Sarveshu bhuteshu. Sarva means all, every. Bhuta means being, living being, inert being, everything. Sarveshu bhuteshu. In all living beings and all inert beings. Inert means I guess you understood that trees, even though they have life, they stay in one rock, sand, everything. You account when I say sarva. Here, Lord Death want to account each and everything in the creation. Sarveshu bhuteshu. In all beings, whether it is sentient or insentient, whether it is celestial, whether it is obtaining in heaven, whether it is obtaining in sky, whether it is obtaining in trees, anything, all beings, whether it is inert or sentient, no problem. Each and everything. The word Sat, eternal, means there is something called substance. Without a substance, we cannot say something eternal, or we cannot say any word form towards a non-entity. There is something. That's why we point out Sat. Sat means a subject, a something which is there already. From a non-entity, there is no possibility of this creation to come out. Already there is an entity, and from this entity, each and every being came into existence. From a non-existing entity, there is no possibility of something to come out as an existing entity. There is no practical logic on that. Flowers which fell from the sky, I gathered and made a garland. There is no way of flowers coming from the sky. Why? Sky doesn't have any tree or flower. So, when something is non-existent already, it cannot be a locus of superimposition of creation. So, already existing entity, which is the locus of entire creation, which is hidden, Buddha. This is hidden and in each and every entity in this world. We have another Upanishad called Ishavasya Upanishad. The first sentence is echoing the same statement. Ishavasya Vidam Sarvam. The Lord is pervading in each and every living being or insentient being, in all beings. The same statement is echoed in another text called Bhagavad Gita, a doctrine given by Lord Krishna towards Arjuna, but the subject matter is the one and the same thing. He says, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridesher juna tishtati. O Lord Arjuna, the Lord is pervading inside of all beings, whether it is sentient or insentient. Sarvabhuta sthitham yomam bhajatyekatvam. Same sloka Lord by given by I am staying in each and every being. So we can only say one statement: there is only God in the creation. The statement which others say, there is only one God in the creation. After studying the traditional teaching, the climate is so cloudy. That's why the temperature goes down. Then it is a time for to fall on the bed. Like it's almost 6 degrees outside. The each and every living being is Brahman, is this consciousness. When a religion makes a statement, there is only one God. The traditional student, the traditional listener says that statement is false. We say there is only God, because nothing is away from this Lord. Every speck of land, every speck of sand, sea, stars, animals, birds, trees, everything is nothing but this consciousness. So we say, what we say actually, there is only God. That religion statement will be falsified by us. They say there is only one God, you don't believe on other gods. We say that there is only one God. We call in different names called Brahman, consciousness, or in your religion it is called as Jesus, in your religion it's called Allah, in your religion it's called Buddha, whatever it may be, there is only God. This Lord is being told by this Gudaha, hidden. Why? When something is free from name and form, you cannot perceive them, which is very, very, very subtle. We already see in the previous 2 verses, very, 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 very subtle. Even the mind, we cannot grasp completely what is mind. We cannot grasp completely what is intellect, what is avyakta. What's the point of saying very, very, very subtle? It's subtle. You cannot imagine because it is free from name and form. There is no form, so it is not a subject for the eyes. There is no sound for that. There is no smell for that. There is no taste for that. There is no any form to touch. Asparsham, arupam, adrishyam. Lots of words cannot be touched, cannot be seen, can't smell. So, Gudaha, hidden, something which is beyond the senses, cannot be sensed by the senses. So it is been told Gudaha, hidden. I will give an example, then you will understand how it is hidden. When you see a table, that table is been painted properly, lot of artworks are there. And when you ask a person, what is this? This is a table. The real thing is that wood is the central subject of the table. But people miss to say this is wood. They say it's a table. Similarly, missing the intrinsic nature of the thing, which can only grasp. This verse says that Gudaha Atma na prakashade, does not shine for the senses, not being grasped by the senses. Whatever thing we perceive or we sense by our senses are being marked as a thing in this creation, which is not available for our perception, are being marked as non-existing entity. Most of the people. Anything which is subject to perception through ears, through eyes, through nose, through taste, tongue, to skin, it is called an entity, an object in this creation. Suppose we cannot grasp a thing, then we say that it's a non-existing entity. That is what it is told here, Gudaha, hidden. A table will cover its real thing called wood. Then we have to say wooden table. A table which is made of wood, due to the painting, due to the artwork, everything, we just see the table. Some other traditional teacher given an example while I am studying under him. He took a writing pen and asked, what is this? This is a pen. And he took a notebook. This is a book. Everybody answered properly whatever things he have kept in. Then he asked, only book remains or some other things? No, book only remains, pen only remains when you show. Then he told, there is a light which is right over our top. That light fall on each and every substance which I showed you. This light also being there. So light and the pen, light and the book, light and my scale, light is being missed. That was his example when we were studying. Similarly, when we are interacting with our material things, when we are interacting with our human body, when we are interacting with our certain things which are visible for us, we miss the invisible thing which is the central theme of the studying, the central theme of the human body. That thing is being missed. Why? We are dealing with the material things which are visible. Something which is invisible, something which is beyond the senses, are not being perceived by us. That is why na prakashade, it is not being grasped by the ordinary senses. So don't try to see the Lord with your eyes or ears. So it's a foolish idea. Here Lord Death tell to Nachiketas, which is not having the form, can only make into different forms. Gold doesn't have a proper form, so that we can make the gold into different forms. It can be bangle, it can be ring, it can be a garland, it can be a earring, it can be anything. Something which is devoid of form can be converted into different forms. Something which is free from a particular form is there in different forms around me. This is the teaching. Hidden means something which is not grasped in a form or a name. Na prakashade, not grasped by the any senses. And who are the people who grasp this drishyate? but it is seen. Tu means but it is seen, drishyate. By what? By the discipline of the lifestyle. Agraya buddhiya. Agraya buddhiya means, literally, if I translate, it is called sharp intellect. Here, Lord Death is not interested. A person who is genius can understand Atma. No. A person who is sincere in this world, who has a disciplined mind in this world, who is free from all kinds of unwanted pressures in this world, who is very peace within oneself, who don't want to cheat others, who don't want to take advantages of others. Proper disciplined personality. Those people will have a mind which is in the right track. Once you say them, they will grasp the thing. These type of people who are free from extra pressures of this material world, they are not having any idea to cheat the people, manipulate the people, or to do anything unwanted towards this world or creation. A proper disciplined mind can think properly what is told by the scriptures. Drishyate tu agraya buddhya. Those who are having this proper mind, proper thinking mind, how can I cultivate a proper thinking mind? It's very easy. We need to give up all unwanted pressures from our mind. Don't do unwanted things while living in this world. Don't cheat others. Don't take advantages of others. Give the greedy ideas towards money, woman, etc., etc. Give up the all kinds of self-centered ideas. We are not only consumers, we are also donors. Live a life sharing with all kinds of people who are good and who are real contributors for the creation. Like this, when the mind is completely free from all kinds of unwanted notion like the ordinary human beings, those people are unique in this world. They are ready to grasp the real idea of the scriptures, the fact which are told by the scriptures. Drishyate. Drishyate means literally it is seen, but I will say it is understood by the people who are having disciplined the mind, who have gone through different types of spiritual exercises, who has done lot of spiritual workshops given by the traditional teachers, practicing the truth in the life, practicing different types of values in their life, not hurting others, not taking advantages of others. Those people will understood, is being understood by those people, how agraya buddhaya, sharp intellect is being made by disciplined mind, and it's very subtle now. It can bypass all these gross things and can see the real subtle thing. And this Gudahatma, the hidden consciousness, is being perceived by the disciplined mind. And those people are called 4Cs, Sukshmadarshibhihi. Sukshmadarshi means subtle seer, like a microscope is called Sukshmadarshini. A microscope can see more and more subtle things. Similarly, when our intellect is free from all kinds of external pressures, it becomes a real inquirer towards the subtle thing. And those people who have gained this disciplined mind will see the subtle thing which is hidden with oneself. This consciousness is the center of the entire creation, which is Almighty. When I understand myself that I am this consciousness, I am free from all kinds of human activities. I am free from death and birth cycle. Drishyate. Drishyate means it is seen, but barely you don't take the translation. It is being understood. It is being grasped by the people who are subtle seers, and they created a subtle mind by their disciplined lifestyle. Very important. Keeping the values while living will make the person more mature to see the subtle things in their life, which will be helpful to be freed from this death and birth cycle. It is the guidance given by the Lord that towards Najigetas through this slogan. Next slogan I will read, and we will see the explanation in the next class. Yachet vang manasi prajnaha tad yachet jnana atmani jnanam atmani mahadi niyachet tad yachet antha atmani. Very powerful verse again given by the Lord, that we will see the explanation in our next session or in the next Sunday. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobhramanibhya Shupamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshadu Parjanyaha Pativisasya Shadini Deshoyam Choparahitaha Brahmana Santu Nadbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkhabhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamata Purnamitam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all of you. Namaste Vedanishta ji and all of you. See you in the